Hiya, welcome to my Compound Life. I'm your host, Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course, we build freedom. That should really be financial freedom, time freedom, and just so that we can move on to do something more interesting in life. For the time being, my interest is purely on YouTube, so that's why I'm making video for you guys. But at the same time, I'm a new content creator, so I really appreciate if you guys can just drop a like, hit subscribe, and also let me know who you are in the comment section. Where are you guys from? Always interested to hear from you guys. Always interested to find out where you guys come from. Okay, so let's go. So today, right, what we want to talk about. So some people, right, say Bitcoin, it's a Ponzi scheme, that you only make money if someone else pays more later. Okay, so today's video, what we'll be addressing will be why Bitcoin is not a Ponzi scheme. Okay, so before we argue about Bitcoin, let's first agree on what a Ponzi scheme actually is. So a Ponzi scheme has a very clear definition. It's an investment fraud where a central operator promises guaranteed or consistent return, and those returns are paid using money from new investors, of course. So not from real profits, okay? So eventually when new money stops coming in, the whole system, the whole thing collapses. So the key ingredients are simple for Ponzi scheme. Number one, you need to have a central organizer. Number two, you need to go out and give your customers some sort of guaranteed returns. And of course, third one would be payouts that depend on new investors. Okay, so let's break it down why Bitcoin is not a Ponzi, right? And we'll explain actually what actually gives Bitcoin its value. Even in 2026, I'm simply just surprised with Bitcoin being a $1.7 trillion market size asset. There would still be people thinking that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. Okay, so let's start. Number one, okay, Bitcoin is decentralized. Okay, so there's no central scammer. Okay, a Ponzi scheme requires a central person, organization, groups, that promises returns. So Bitcoin definitely has no CEO, no company controlling it, no promises of profit. However, the fact that Bitcoin price do appreciate, and it's like clockwork that, Bitcoin appreciate every 4 years, there will be a supply shock, certainly the price goes up. It's a no-brainer, right? And of course, it's run by open software and global users, right? So anyone can verify the transaction. So of course, Bitcoin doesn't pay old investors with new investors' money. There's no boss telling people to join. Okay, so that's the point number one. And of course, point number two, Bitcoin has real utility, right? So the real utility essentially is money and payments. Just FYI. So Bitcoin isn't just hope of selling to someone higher. It's a global payment rail and money alternatives. So people use it to send value across borders. Well, it doesn't have to be borders. I can essentially send Bitcoin to you right now. Okay, you can send me Bitcoin too. So it's a form of store of value too, right? A little bit like gold. And even spent in real use cases like remittance and low fees transfer, etc. Okay, so the utility of Bitcoin, it's real use, not just price speculation, right? So there are definitely a lot of people speculate on Bitcoin price, so that's why me and you know and appreciate that Bitcoin, it's a very, very hard asset, right? So that's why we kind of buy into Bitcoin too. However, the real utility for Bitcoin essentially is store of value, money transfer, and cross-borders transfer, right? Without the central government, without the central banking system that sits in as the intermediaries, right? Okay, number 3. Value comes from network, scarcity, demand, and Bitcoin's value isn't bogus, it's actually built in. Okay, from scarcity, only 21 million Bitcoin. Okay, we are now already 19.75 million Bitcoin already minted. So we're not far to getting to that 21 million. However, having said that, I think there's still hundreds of years away before the miner gets to mine the final Bitcoin, right? So still plenty of time. Anyone that's asking, am I too late for Bitcoin? Nope, you're not too late. There's still plenty of halving events specifically for Bitcoin, okay? And of course, the network effect, where more users equal more valuable network, right? So where do all the users comes from, right? Initially, when Bitcoin first started, it's just a bunch of network IT geeks that are managing the network. You know, they are starting their own mining through their own computers, right? But nowadays, the buyers of Bitcoin goes well beyond that, right? And it isn't just retail individual like you and I anymore. You know, these are institutional grade buyers of Bitcoin, wealthy individual, the millionaires, the billionaires, trillionaires sometimes, right? Also buy into Bitcoin. Okay, so the network effect, it's huge, guys. It's not just in the US. Maybe many of you are US viewers, but for sure, I'm in the UK. I'm into Bitcoin, and a lot of my Asian friends, they're into Bitcoin too. They are all in Asia too, right? So it's a very, very global network and a global monetary system that will eventually be replacing some of our old system, right? And of course, apart from network effect, we also need to factor in finite supply, right? In the open markets pricing. So demand versus supply sets price, okay? So this is basic economics, you know, just like gold. The value itself, you know, it's coming from network, it's scarce because it's already hard-coded, 21 million, and there are plenty of demand, okay? And fourth, right, why Bitcoin isn't a Ponzi, Bitcoin doesn't promise return, okay? So no guarantees. A defining part of a Ponzi is promising guarantees return. So Bitcoin never, ever promises profits. You can gain or lose based on the market price, of course, just like stocks do. There's no contract guaranteeing growth, okay? But of course, there will be more and more people that want this specific asset. Because, why? Because it's a very, very hard asset. It's transferable, it's easily transportable, it's divisible, right? Imagine if you only want to sell a small portion of your gold bullion, you cannot, right? You have to sell the whole thing, right? For Bitcoin, you can essentially just sell 2 sets, right? So it's highly divisible. So that's why it's always, always good to be in Bitcoin. And of course, if investors make money in Bitcoin, it's because they choose to participate, not because someone promised them with good gains, okay? And last but not least, the 5th point, Bitcoin works even if people stop buying. In a Ponzi, you know, collapse happens when new buyers dry up and payout stops, okay? But Bitcoin, blockchain, and network continue to exist whether price goes up or down, or whether new investors enter or exit because the protocol doesn't depend on fresh money. Okay, remember that. So the system doesn't break even no one buys. It still functions as money and technology though, right? So yeah, I hope you guys get this. And you know what, let me chuck in one more bonus one, right? So money of any kind relies on beliefs. This isn't fraud. So even traditional money, like the US dollars, Great British Pound in the UK, the euros, Canadian dollars, who else do I got? I've got a few viewers from Thailand, Thailand bahts, right? All of this doesn't produce dividend or income, yet it has value because society trusts and uses it, right? Bitcoin is similar because it represents a form of money built on technology and consensus, no fraud, okay? So value isn't just about dividends, but it's utility, trust, and adoption. So Bitcoin essentially have similar, okay? So overall, I think in summary, Ponzi features, Bitcoin reality center operators guaranteeing returns, and of course, no central operators for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin never guarantees, right? So, of course, it uses new money, Ponzi, it uses new money to pay old investors. However, Bitcoin, it's always about the price discovery through open market, the supply and demand, right? And of course, Ponzi schemes, it will collapse, no doubt. It will definitely collapse without new entrants. However, Bitcoin is different because network still works if buyers or seller leaves. And yeah, so there's never any secret in terms of transaction. It's fully public blockchain for Bitcoin, okay? So yeah, I think to wrap this up, Bitcoin, it's not a Ponzi. It's a digital asset and a new form of money and technology, right? Its value comes from real economic principles, that's scarcity, utility, network effect, and not from tricking people to pay higher prices, right? And certainly the supply and demands comes in. That is very different to tricking people to pay higher prices for that asset. Like any assets, it can go up or down, but that doesn't make it a fraud. That doesn't essentially make it a Ponzi, right? So if you like my content, do hit the like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.